Next item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Haas, could you please lead us into the allegiance?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the
I pledge
flag
allegiance to the
of
flag
the
of
United States
United
of
States of
America,
America,
and to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for
which
which
stands
stands
one
one
nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty
with
and
liberty
and justice for all.
justice for all. Thank you. Did we lose Daniel?
Yes, roll call. I'll start the roll call. Ratan Chaudhary,
Present.
Guy Haas,
Present.
Alvaro Alcorn,
Present.
Anbal,
Present.
Nasir Lalani, Commissioner Nasir Lalani, not present. Kevin Lee,
Present.
Jason Wong, Commissioner Jason Wong, not present. Commissioner Abhijit Pandey,
Aye.
present. Commissioner Pulak Mehta,
Present.
present. Okay, we do have a quorum today, Chair.
Thank you, Daniel, and welcome everyone to the meeting. So next item on the agenda is seating of alternates.
Yes, Chair, we have alternate Commissioner Pulak Mehta.
Okay,
And sitting in the position of Commissioner Lalani's position.
okay, thank you.
And I believe,
Welcome,
yeah.
welcome, Commissioner Mehta.
Hi, welcome everyone.
So Daniel, if you can bring up the agenda. So
Chair,
this, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Chair, do you see the agenda on the screen?
Yeah,
actually?
I see it, yes.
Okay.
Can everyone see the agenda?
Yep.
Okay, looks good. I move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Bao. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
So that was Commissioner Bao who moved it, and second, it was seconded by Commissioner Haas. Daniel.
Okay, I'll do a roll call, Chair. Ratan Chaudhary,
Aye.
Guy Haas,
Aye.
Alvaro Alcorn,
Aye.
Anbal,
Aye.
Be great, baby.
Kevin Lee,
Aye.
Abhijit Pandey,
Aye.
and Pulak Mehta.
Aye.
We have 7 ayes, Chair.
Thank you, Daniel. So with that, we go to item number 6 on the agenda, which is the February 28th special meeting minutes. So Daniel, you are going to bring it up, or?
Is it not showing up right now? I am sharing.
Yes, I can see it now. Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the meeting minutes from February the 28th. That was a special meeting. So we had called to order, pledge of allegiance, roll call, seating of alternates, approval of agenda, approval of meeting minutes, public forum announcements. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
The motion was by, is that Vice Chair Haas? And the second was by the Commissioner Alcorn. I'll do a roll call. Ratan Chaudhary,
Aye.
Guy Haas,
Aye.
Albert Alcorn,
Aye.
An Bao,
Aye.
Kevin Lee,
Aye.
Abhijit Pandey,
Aye.
and Pulak Mehta.
Aye.
We have 7 ayes, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. So meeting minutes are approved. Moving along, next item on the agenda is public forum, where we invite members of the audience to address the commission on any subject that might not be on the agenda. Speakers must state their name for the record and limit their remarks to 2 minutes or less. For items not listed on the agenda, no response is required of the city staff or commissioners. However, commissioners may ask staff to place the item on a future meeting agenda. Do we have anybody in the public, Daniel, for this forum?
Not tonight, Chair, but I would like to point out that Mayor Rich Tran has joined us, and our Assistant City Manager Shimoni Kantak, and Frank Morales, Captain from the Police Department.
Okay, welcome to the Science, Technology, Innovation Commission meeting. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Next item on the agenda, since we don't have any public forum, we'll move along to item number 8, which is announcements from the commissioners. Do we have any commissioner announcements? So I guess the announcement that I think I would like to remind the commissioners that we have in-person meeting next month. And that would be in our city building. Okay, any other announcements from any other commissioners?
Chair, if I may, I would like to point out that staff will send out more details about coming on back into City Hall for our meeting. So I believe we have a few new commissioners that may not be familiar with the location.
Okay. Okay, that would be good. Thanks, Daniel. Okay, moving along to business items. Item number 9A is work plan updates. This is to receive the updates from commission members and discuss the next year work plan. Goal number 1 is digital inclusion strategy. Commissioners Kevin Lee and Commissioner Pandey are working on that. Do you have any updates for us, commissioners?
Yeah, so as for the survey results, we are going to have to delay that until next month because they got back to the partners, and probably our most important partner, John Macon, the Recreation and Community Service Supervisor, he said that they haven't been able to work on the surveys, as in spreading it to their audiences yet. So I'm giving them another week to get that done, and they should be able to finish that by the end of this week. And then from there, I'll be able to collect the surveys and finish the final analysis. And the same with the library as well. So they just asked me for more time, and by the next meeting, I will be able to report the full results.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Lee. Any other update on that goal?
That's all the updates for me.
Okay, thank you. So goal number 2 is smart city initiatives. And that is owned by me and co-owned by Commissioner Kevin Lee. So I did some research on that. And I also implored the other commissioners to basically do some research on their own and come up with some ideas. And the idea that I was going to propose or for consideration or are basically two items. One is, we have a severe water shortage situation. So I was reading some other cities are kicking off water recycling, water conservation program in their cities. We have had very little rain this year. So I was going to float the idea of possibly looking into rainwater harvesting for next season, number one. Number two, water recycling conservation. I think we'll have to cut down on our lawn watering and all that. But I did notice actually that we do use up a lot of water in our kitchens while dishwashing and all that. So if somehow we can conserve that water, that would be good. But I think we have to do a little more thinking rather, right now what I'm doing on my part, I fill up the pots and save that water in a bucket outside, which I later use for plants and all that. So that's my little bit of a contribution there. But any ideas that other commissioners can think of to simplify the process and implement that citywide, that would be welcome. Second thing I found on the web is that a lot of large buildings are switching to smart glass tinting glasses implementation installation in very large buildings, where the glass itself, you can change the tint of the glass to cut down on the solar heat coming from outside or the heat escaping to outside at the press of a button. So some cities are doing that, especially for large buildings. I don't know what our energy usage rate is for the city hall, but might not be a bad idea to look into that and do some ROI analysis on that to see if it will pay off by itself, for itself, over a few years if we implement that. So those are some of the ideas I wanted to put forth on the floor for consideration and looking into for our smart city initiatives.
As for me, I haven't had too much time to look into this yet. So I was planning to spend this month to really look into it because I wanted to meet with Commissioner Chanduri later on. So I'll be looking to that. But also an idea for me and what I practice at home is, I'm sure a lot of you have this problem too. When you turn on like the shower water, it's like very cold. And that's a lot of water wasted while you're waiting for the water to heat up. So I actually have a bucket, like the $10 bucket from Home Depot. I have that in the shower to fill up the cold, fill the bucket with the cold water. And then once it starts turning warm, that shut off the water, put the bucket aside, and then start taking a shower. And from my experiences, I would have almost a full bucket every like 3 showers, and we would use that to water the plants in the backyard or front yard. So that would be a good idea. I think that would actually be a good like marketing or campaign of some sort by the city. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else here has that issue where the water is cold and just waiting for it to go hot, but for me it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do that at home too. Yeah.
Yes, I was doing that and I still do that. And that's a very good point, Commissioner Lee. I was doing that and the water was actually, then I installed a hot water pump circulator. So that has cut down on the cold water, but I'm still saving that. And that does help out a lot. So I did notice that there's a lot of water usage in the kitchen, especially when you are doing the dishes. And you can save a lot of water. You can basically, I fill up at least probably close to a bucket every day, which I use for the plants and vegetables that I have.
Yeah, to further add on to that in the kitchen, for example, if you're rinsing like tomatoes or apples or whatever,
Yes.
all that water rinsing, you could have that in like a big bowl where you're rinsing it. And then once it's done rinsing, you can add that to the bucket. And then that's
Save
another
that
way you
water.
can accumulate the water.
Correct. Yeah. So you brought up a good point. If there is an initiative, that is promoted by the city itself, that will be a great campaign for city residents, and that will help a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that is easily overlooked by people. They don't really think about it. You just turn on the shower and then walk away.
Yes,
To get warm and then come back. So I
yes,
think it would be a really
yes.
worthwhile initiative.
Correct, correct.
On the related topics, do we have any building code that forces new office buildings to have to use recycled water for the restrooms and the gardening? Do we know?
So I don't know, but maybe we'll have to talk to the city engineers maybe, or
Yes,
Send-
Commissioner Bao
Yes.
and Chair Chaudhary,
yes.
so recycled water is, we get it from the San Jose treatment facility, and there's only so much infrastructure and as well as so much capacity. So that is kind of what constrains us. We encourage it, but the infrastructure is not available everywhere. So we cannot force them to connect to recycled water if it's not available and if we don't have capacity. But we can get you some more information on kind of what we have in place right now and where it is already in place. But it's not all over the city, the infrastructure, the purple pipe.
All right, thanks. Yeah, 'cause I noticed
Yeah,
a lot of the new buildings have these have the purple pipes, and they mark them wherever the water comes out. There's a purple sign there. Yeah.
Right. And we do have that in many places, but we can't require it everywhere because the infrastructure is not there and also the capacity itself.
I
but
see.
all of that is coming from city of San Jose.
It comes from the treatment facility. So
Treatment
there's only
facilities.
so much capacity
Correct.
that is allocated to the different cities using it.
But if we had a code where we are forcing these large buildings, apartment buildings and all that, to recycle the kitchen water and the shower water in some way that we talked about,
Yes,
that will,
on-site gray
On-site.
water recycling. And
Correct,
some cities do that, yes.
correct. So sometimes think about, I guess.
Okay.
Because I have a feeling that in California, that's one of the things that we'll be facing year over year. Total uncertainty of amount of rains that we get.
Yeah, I have a question.
Chair, I have another comment.
Sure. Commissioner Alcorn, please go ahead.
Okay. When I moved in my house many years ago, I have a very large yacht. The lot is 8,000 square feet, and it was all covered in turf lawn. Since in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I've yanked out almost all of the lawn, and my entire front yard is succulents, with just a very small piece of lawn for the grandkids to play on. And because of that, I've reduced my watering in the front yard from 2 to 3 times a week down to 2 to 3 times a year. It's made a huge difference. And I noticed that once I did that, there was also a corresponding huge jump in the amount of wildlife in my yard. So in the front yard, I have a lot of succulents, and it provides the ideal habitat for lizards. And lizards are known as one of the great insect deterrents because they eat insects like crazy. So anyway, I would consider my front yard a very huge success in water savings. And in the backyard, I've since yanked out almost all of the lawn as well and replaced it with raised bed planters with drip irrigation systems. And when I plant my vegetables, I've noticed that during the first month or two, I have to water like every couple days. But once the plants are established, I only have to water maybe every other week or so throughout the rest of the year. And so my first comment is ditch the lawn. My second comment is there's a ton of ways to cut down on the amount of water you use in the landscaping, such that you don't use plants that are high water requirements. You don't use plants that would easily be damaged by the sun. You put in robust plants, and then you can have a yard that survives with very minimal watering. Anyway, and then also I'd be happy to go into more detail or even give tours of my yard to demonstrate these principles.
So that's a very good point, Commissioner Alcott. I think if you can also probably elaborate a little bit on that next time around, give a small presentation or something like that. What kind of plants and all that, that would be really good. What I did on my part, I also had a lawn of, I believe, Kentucky bluegrass. So one of my neighbors replaced the Kentucky bluegrass with UC Verde buffalo grass. So I did that. That has cut down on the water, probably not 3 times a week or 4 times a week to down to once or twice a week, but it still takes about some water. So I would be very interested in knowing. We have been kicking this idea around internally in the family to replace the lawn with succulents and all that, but that would be a very useful information for us, and maybe we can have a citywide campaign on that, and that would be a very good thing. That's a very good input. Thank you. Commissioner Mehta?
Yeah, I had a comment. So this comment is regarding related to water, which was the groundwater level.
Mhm.
One more thing regarding water conservation was: do we have any code regarding the regarding rainwater harvesting? Because I remember there were like in multiple countries I've seen where it is mandated by law that if you have a building of certain height, you need to like on the roof, you need to have pipes to collect the water, and that goes down into the ground. So I was just curious if we have any codes on that, or if we could see if that can be implemented at government buildings or at large complexes.
So again, we'll have to refer to the city officials on that. I don't have an answer to that.
Chair, I can follow up on that request.
That will be great.
Daniel. Thank you.
Thank you. So basically 2 items, I guess. One is a building code for recycled water for large apartment buildings in the buildings themselves. And second one is if there is a code on rainwater harvesting in our city. Okay, so good discussion. Any other comments on that topic?
On the energy conservation, like we have a company headquartered in Milpitas called View Inc. that does tint glasses, and there are enormous benefits around that. So I'll have them.
What is the name of the company?
View Inc.
View Inc. And the company that I was going to mention is called Halio, Halio. I know about this company because they interviewed me last year for a job, which I didn't take. But at the press of the button, you can change the tinting of the glass. The glass itself is based on some chemical, material within the glass itself, which when you apply a voltage or pass a current through, it can change the degree of tinting to cut down the heat and light coming from outside or going from inside to outside. So this sounds very similar to what you were talking about, probably.
Yeah, Viewing does the same, like San Francisco Airport, and they went public this year. And
I see.
They're a large company, so I'll have them provide some, probably have them present here.
Okay, that would be good. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Could just add, I just wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Alcorn for the lawn conversion, and just wanted to add, and maybe when we bring back information on the water ordinances, we can also bring back information on our rebate program that we have for lawn conversion. So we partner with Valley Water and our city forest to do lawn conversions, encourage that for residential lawn conversions, not for commercial because that gets pretty expensive. But we do have a pretty good program, and we can bring information on that as well. And maybe the commission can provide input on any other things we could, modify in terms of the program.
Thank you, Assistant Manager. That will be good. Yeah, I'm aware of the rebate program. I think I did attend a seminar or a talk a few years ago by a collaborating, agency, not agency, but I think landscaping company in, I believe it was the library. And they were also distributing some plants. I got one of them. But that will be good. Thank you. Okay. Moving along to goal number 3, which is the IT technology projects owned by Commissioner Bao and Commissioner Alcorn for email security system. I believe we have a presentation on that. Daniel.
Yes, Chair. Chair, just before we move on there, I know you
Yes.
mentioned earlier, you mentioned about the smart glasses that will dynamically tint.
Yes.
I believe there was, I knew that there was a Milpitas company that was actually working on this quite a few years ago. I just found it. The company is called View, the view.com. And I believe the headquarters is in Milpitas.
I think that is a company Commissioner Pandey referred to. So yeah, it will be a good idea, I guess, if Commissioner Pandey can get them to give us a talk on ROI and all that for their class implementation. Thank you, Daniel. So I guess next we move along to the IT technology projects for email security systems presentation. If there is no other comment.
Yes, so thank you everybody for giving us the Albert and me the opportunity today to share our research on email security products. Next slide, please. So we are assisting IT staff to see what to evaluate available email security products for future considerations. And so for that, we turn to the industry's premier research organization, Gartner, to see what products they have evaluated, and we got the report from them on that they evaluated 71 security products. And all the ratings were done by the customers themselves, evaluating on product features and ease of installation and support and so on, so that what we present today are the top 20 top rated products, and all of them are good products. Any of them in the top 20s are good. And many of them received Customer's Choice Award last year. So on the next slide, we'll say we'll put all the information in. Daniel, can you please bring up the next slide? Yeah. So we put everything in chart forms and graph forms, so the information is easier to digest. But basically, here are the top 20 out of a 5-star rating. You see they are at 4.4, 4.5 and higher, all the way to 4.9. And on the left side, at the top of the industry, are the highly rated, this dark trace, which have made a presentation to us before, and Abnormal and Avanon and Email Laundry. So those are lesser known names, but very highly rated. And on the right side, you see the more familiar names: the Symantec, the Barracuda, the Cisco, and Microsoft. And again, all these are very good products. And yeah, for CD consideration, any of them would be good. And then finally, to the last slide, you see the breakdown in the ratings behind the result that you saw. And for here, the customers rate these email packages in terms of product capabilities, which are the features and evaluation and contracting. And on the top line there, you see integration, deploy, how easy it was to install, and of course, service and support. And on the right side, you see the customer comments. Now, the top product, for example, is Darktrace. And we know that from their previous presentation, they use a lot of AIs, and the customers mentioned the same thing in their ratings. They specifically said that, yeah, this is a machine. It uses machine learning assessment, and I know that Milpitas is concerned about email phishing. So on the number 2 product for abnormal security, they also came in at 4.9 rating, overall rating. And the customers specifically give it very high marks on email phishing. And on the 4th one down, you will see for the email laundry from FireEye, their specific concern, the customer's specific concerns were their users pressing on the wrong link or pressing on phony attachments and accidentally installing something. So that package specifically filter those out and not give the customers, the users, a chance to click on the wrong thing. So each product has their own special area that they look for. So when we evaluate any of these, yeah, no one package will fit everybody's concerns, but overall, yeah, these are the items that their customers rated. And as you see, as you go down the list on the right side, you see a lot of them in the top 20. They are showing the Customer's Choice Award. Albert, anything you'd like to add?
You and I reviewed this and we looked at it, and it looked like a pretty comprehensive list of all the different products that are out there. So I was pretty happy with this report.
Yeah, and I think you noted that the bigger names, the Microsoft, the Symantec, and the Cisco, they're toward, yeah, their rating was still high, but not as high as some of the smaller names, right?
Right. I kind of got the feeling like, the Microsofts and Cisco's are going out there and doing a broad platform. Hey, this is a pretty good situation, where some of these other vendors are really going for trying to do the top tier. Let's do the best we can at repelling whatever bad things that might be coming through email.
Okay, and that's our quick presentation. Any comments or feedback? All right, I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bao. Pretty informative. I don't know what we have for the city, in the city offices.
Chair, I'll share the screen one more time here, and I can point
Okay.
out what the city currently has. So as you know, there's new products coming out in the market, and some of the names up on the top is actually fairly new products. Some of them actually have a few years, but let me actually share the screen.
Because I know most of the companies use Office 365 and Microsoft email.
Yes, for
Outlook for conducting the business.
Sure. So as you can see, some of the names, as you would notice, is Barracuda. That company, the Barracuda, is actually a San Jose company, Silicon Valley company, and they've been in this business for quite some time. Their product is actually quite excellent. We do use Barracuda. We've had Barracuda Email Security Gateway, which is scored 4.4 for, I would say, close to 10 years now. But as we are currently using a combination of Barracuda Email Security Gateway and Barracuda Essentials, which is scored at 4.6, and they both received the Customer Choice Award in 2021. And we are also looking at, as the city's using Office 365 platform, we may be looking into some of the more Office 365 compatible, better integrated products going forward. So thank you very much for your research.
Okay, good. Thank you, Ed, Daniel. Any comment on that from any commissioners? Okay, if no comments, we'll move to item 9B, which is also work plan, part of the work plan updates for commissioner presentation by Commissioner Pandey, who will talk about unmanned aerial vehicle usage.
Commissioner Pandey, I can run the slide for you if you like.
Uh,
Oh, you
I
got
think
okay. Oh, perfect.
I'm fine. So yeah. So unmanned aerial vehicles, or they can be called as another name for this is UAS, which is unmanned aircraft systems. So these are drones that I'm going to talk about, and how basically it's so the agenda is what is the terminology, what is a drone, and then federal aviation rules around it, and is it all federal or city can do something about it, so the city laws. And most popular of them for hobby and recreational purposes is the quadcopters. So I'll dwell into some of the physics of quadcopters. So as a terminology, so drones are can be run under visual line of sight, or it could be autonomous, like they through GPS or through their autonomous capabilities, they can be moving. But they so that's just definition is unmanned aircraft system that flies under the control of a remote pilot. Now, what is the drone market like? So today in US, and there are references to it. You can see the references of where I got this data. So commercial is still at a very low 13%, and the most, this is all US market, and military is 70% of the drone market. And so in the commercial drone use, there are tons of usage, but more or less the commercial drone use, which you see is 13%, it's not picked up because of line of sight requirements. Like today the aviation rules, they require the drone to be in the line of sight, and that's what has prevented some of the package delivery, which like I point Amazon, Google, Walmart, they all disclose that they are building drones, that they will be doing delivery by 2020, but it's still 2022, there's still no delivery. So it's just because of the visual line of sight requirements. And other usage is aerial photography. And so I'll talk about the rules around these, and who can, how to get a commercial drone license, and who can get it. And yeah, so agriculture is and photography. So moving on, so who are the top drone manufacturers? So this is worldwide, and for commercial purposes, DJI from China holds 70% of the market. Parrot is French, 3DR is, so US is number 3 for commercial drone makers. But again, US is mostly concerned on military drones. Unique is again China, so DJI and Unique are from China, and Aerion is in Canada. For military, if you see that there are 5 drone makers from US, which are in the top 6. So General Atomics makes the Predator, Northrop Grumman, Global Hawk, and Israel, and Lockheed Martin and Raytheon are also pretty big players in military drones. And so moving on, so what are the rules? So I mostly focused on commercial side and recreational side of drones. And so now there is a requirement that if you have a drone which is greater than 0.5 pounds, you need to register it. And that is mandatory. And when you're doing the registration, so you can register it under as a recreational flyer, or you register it as a public aircraft. So what is Part 107 rules, right? Like what is this certification about? So to become Part 107 certified, you need to pass a knowledge test, and then there's a TSA background check done for that. And so once you have the Part 107 remote pilot certificate, you can fly commercially, and recreationally you don't need much. You really don't need to pass the test, except just register the drone. Now, public operator or public agencies. So that's where city comes in, and the law enforcement and firefighters. So these are the public agencies, and so they can either get their pilots remote, like Part 107 certified, or they apply it in a different way. So the way they need a certificate of authorization, and then they can give their pilots certificates themselves. So they become the governing agency, the law enforcement agency, or and any public operators. So for now recreational drone flying. So how can you fly it for recreational purposes and what are the rules around it? So there's a community-based rules which you must adhere to, like the drone is in visual line of sight. If there's a manned aircraft, you should not be flying it near the airports. And then you have to be flying. So there are a lot of controlled airspaces like A, B, G, C, D, E, F, G, and like you and even within that. So there are regulations which are controlled by federal authority for these airspaces. But if you're flying below 400 feet, then you may qualify for as a recreational flyer. And then when you're registering your drone, then this is a must, even for recreational flyers. You have to register it, and then you get a certificate and you have to carry it because somebody can ask for it, like if your drone crashes somewhere. So this is only for outside purposes. If you're flying your drone indoor in your home, then you don't need to register it, and you can do things in your own home. So local government use, there are tons of usage, say medical purposes. So these are emergency ambulances. So they can carry required medicine to required accident. Don't need to wait for traffic to give in. Like it can be done faster. Inspection, especially it's useful for port cities. Like there is a ton of cargo, like Oakland, and even in Milpitas, there might be places where it's hard to reach and it's dangerous to do those inspections. So in those cases, drones are very useful. Firefighter use. Different cities have put in their own rules around that. Like even in Bay Area, when there have been fire so many times, it happens, but the people are flying their own drones into those fires in Sonoma County and Napa Valley, and that has interfered with the firefighter use. So people, like there are rules now, like you should not be flying in those areas. Law enforcement is again like you have to apply for if you're a law enforcement agency, you have to ask for these licenses, because there's privacy concerns. Only for certain kind of surveillance or terrorist activity you're allowed to do it. So you don't see too often use of drones in the law enforcement as well. Then environmental monitoring, disaster management, like you have flood and things like that. So that's where drones are more useful. Like I'm open for questions as well. Like if you have anything, you can interrupt me.
Yeah, just want to clarify. You mentioned something about the Kitty Hawk, right? On the previous slide.
Kitty Hawk, I didn't especially mention, but is it a?
Need to go back more.
Yeah. So what's the question like?
Oh, it wasn't really a question, but just a coincidence. I was actually tracking aircraft near Ukraine. And there's actually currently right now a U.S. Air Force Northrop Grumman. I think it was Northrop Grumman, but it was a global Kitty Hawk that's hovering over Romania near the Ukraine border, and it was previously hovering over the Black Sea. Just surveilling the Russians right now. So it's actually in flight right now. I'm gonna send a link in the chat if you guys are curious about that. Just a coincidence since you mentioned. I saw that on your slide.
Is it an early warning system?
No, it's a surveillance. It's unarmed. It's like a UAV,
Okay.
basically. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and so now, so also I forgot to mention about this drone, right? Where this terminology came from. Like so drone is a male bee, and the purpose this male bee does is it fertilizes the queen bee, and it cannot sting, and it does very little except fertilizes the bee. So I think the term came in from the way it flies, and then we started putting in as the name drone.
Right here, Global Hawk.
Yeah, Global Hawk, and there's Reaper, I think, from Raytheon.
I believe Kitty Hawk is an aircraft carrier. I could be wrong, but
yeah. Okay, so we can find. I'll find out more about Kitty Hawk if there's something. So now, yeah. What about city? So where does Milpitas city comes in now, or can it do anything about drones, or is it just federal, right? So the top point, it says it can regulate where it can take off or land. So from city perspective, right, we really don't want to dampen the enthusiasm about drones. We want to have more people fly it. So the way, instead of placing restrictions, the way to go about it is we designate some places, like say Stickroth Park or some park as places where people can fly drones. Like it's a legal ground. Like so we can have drone racing and all, but those somebody needs to take care of. But if there are designated spots, then people get enthused about, okay, there are no rules there and you can fly and drones there. Because so now about restrictions, okay, several cities pass laws, like if there's a Super Bowl or about Levi Stadium. So you can, the city of Santa Clara will put in some laws that you can fly near the stadium and things like that. And then federal preemption, when can federal preempt? So federal can preempt local laws in every case, but they usually don't. So it's case by case basis. They look at it, they might not preempt unless they see that the local zoning laws or we regulate our own laws, and they so because local laws, local privacy, local trespassing, the city can control. And so what is the legislation needs, right? Like one is safety. Like if you're flying out in parks or flying outside, it can crash into people, it can crash into vehicles, cause accidents. So there are safety concerns, privacy concerns is there. Most people, like they like to snoop on, not most people, but people can snoop around with these drones. So trespassing is one big concern, even for drones like coming from Amazon or Walmart for commercial purposes. So there's a risk of privacy there, and people don't want drones flying over their own home airspace, right? So environmental impacts, a lot of cities, parks, they have put laws or you don't let, there are no drone flying zones. And because they interfere with the wild habitats, most people, like a lot of folks, they want to capture the movements of wild habitats, and that disturbs them. So what's happening in federal aviation airspace? One is remote ID. So since there are new laws coming into picture, so remote ID, what that mandates is when you're flying a drone, it will broadcast where its location is, and not just broadcast where the drone location is, but whoever is flying it, like from whether it's visual line of sight, there is location information about that as well. So as we go more deeper into autonomous drones, so the remote ID, where people need to identify themselves that this is a drone, and with the proper information, and there are rules getting developed around that. Accident reporting, like if you register your aircraft and you have an accident, then you need to report it within 10 days if there is a serious injury or some damage to the property. So I'll go now into the physics of the drones, and looking at time, I think I still have some time. So, okay. Now fixed, so two types of unmanned aerial systems or aircraft systems. So fixed wing, that's like your regular airplane, your Southwest Airlines. So they are fixed wings and better range and better performance. So I'm going to more dwell into the rotary wing, which are the hobby drones, and higher degree of freedom. So it's easier for them to change directions. Low speed flying, like drones, they don't move too fast, and stationary, like it's harder for a fixed wing aircraft to be stationary. So these rotary wings can just hover at one place. And indoor usage also, with fixed wings, they need more space to the way they're designed. And so I'll talk about the quadcopter, which are the 4 rotors associated with a drone. So the main parts, propellers. So these look like the fans that are rotating, and the way they rotate, they change the pressure, and then the drone rises. And flight controller. So flight controller is something like it receives information from your ground control, and then it passes that information to your electronic speed controller. So what is electronic speed controller? So that's it. So it's connected to battery at one side. So it is basically your power manager, and it controls the power it's giving to the motors. And because of how these motors rotate, the drone can move up, down, side, roll, pitch. So I'll talk about that as well. And brushless motors and brush motors, they're the ways how these motors operate. And there's a magnet, and the battery generates. It's a regular motor functioning. And LiPo, lithium polymer battery. So one of the drawbacks of these quadcopters is the battery, which like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and not more than that. So there's active research on how we enhance these quadcopters so that they stay more time in the air. Now, altitude control. So not many people know about it. They just see these 4 propellers. So there are 2 of them which rotate clockwise. So the front and back. So MF and MB, they rotate clockwise, and the others, right and left, they rotate anti-clockwise. And so how these right, left, so clockwise and anti-clockwise motion make the drone move is in the slide. So the 4 maneuvers, they are roll, pitch, yaw, and vertical. So roll is like I showed. So there's right and left, which are moving anti-clockwise. So the anti-clockwise causes the roll.
So Commissioner Pandey,
yeah,
little time check. If you can wrap it up in about 2 minutes, that would be great.
Yeah. So pitch is moving up and down. So front and back rotors, you move and it goes drone up and down. And yaw is change the direction. Like it's if you look from height above, if it moves right or left, so that's where the yaw is changing the direction. And vertical is if all your rotors move, they push against the tinfoil, and then and they don't move. So all of them are required. I think that's all about it. So I have a couple of slides, a couple of information about what are the references that I took for this. And for public operators, they need a lot of authorization. Like you want to move it at night, beyond visual line of sight, and if you want to in certain controlled airspace or human beings. So Part 107 takes care of it. And you can be certified for these kind of operations. Thank you.
I have a quick comment.
Yeah.
I was watching a TV show last night called NCIS Los Angeles, and they introduced the concept of a drone swarm. And they were AI based, and all of the drones in the swarm would communicate with each other and essentially act like a school of fish. I know these TV shows are fiction, but it was an interesting concept. It was something I hadn't thought about before.
Yes,
Chair?
there's a lot of AI there and drone swarming.
Chair, we have Police Captain Captain Morales joining us today.
Oh, okay.
If you have any questions regarding how the city is currently using, specifically police department is currently using, he'll be able to answer any of the questions.
Oh, definitely. We would like to know that. And let's move along to that in the interest of time. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Chair
evening.
Chaudhry,
Good evening.
Commission members, Mayor Tran, and city staff. Thank you for having me this evening and allowing me the opportunity to speak to you about our UAS program. Yeah, I can piggyback a little bit on that a very informative PowerPoint presentation that was just provided to you. What I can say is we have a very robust UAS program. It's nearly 2.5 years in the making. We have staff that have become an expert or experts in this industry. The city first moved on this as a tool to enhance public safety, help protect the citizens while providing an added layer of safety for our police officers. We went through a meticulous evaluation of the equipment that's available out there, how our policies were going to be in place to protect the public while respecting the public's right to privacy. We felt that was a very critical component of us having a successful program where citizens can trust in it. We have a very close partnership with the FAA. We're one of the few agencies in the state, and actually, last I heard in Western United States, to have very specific waivers that allow us to operate our drones beyond visual line of sight. And our pilots are extensively trained in the use of this equipment. What I can say is Milpitas is actually in controlled airspace. A significant portion of the city is actually in controlled airspace. So generally speaking, the FAA doesn't allow the use of recreational commercial drones without those waivers or without notifying the FAA. So our pilots, just so you guys know, go through approximately 35.5 hours of training to operate the drones. They train regularly and they're used quite regularly in the city of Milpitas. Again, to enhance public safety. We use them for all kinds of missions, which include looking for missing people. We use them to use during yard searches so that officers don't have to go into an area where they don't know someone may be. We actually are able to fly them within buildings to do building searches for us before we send people in there. So for us, damaging a piece of property is much easier to accept compared to having someone be injured during a search. So we do have several waivers from the FAA that allow us to use this equipment. We're able to monitor it remotely. And we do have layers of safety built in place there to ensure that, that they're being operated within our standards. So we did present this information to City Council. We also have a policy on its use. So if you guys have any more specific questions, I could speak for hours on our drone program. As I mentioned earlier, it's pretty robust, but in the interest of time, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear them.
I have a quick question. Would it be possible to get a, some sort of a in-person look at one? and talk to the pilots?
Yes, we can arrange that. We will demo them sometimes, and if we have a city event, we're more than willing to show what they are and how we use them.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. How many drones do you have, Officer Morales?
Primarily, we use 8. We have 2 Mavic Minis, 4 Mavic Pros, a Matrice V210, and a Matrice 300.
I see. Okay.
And how many
Thank you.
pilots do you have?
Last count, I believe it was 13.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it allows us to spread the way our shifts work and the way our assignments work. It allows us to maximize these resources. So it's spread through different divisions in the department. And we try and have pilots available for all shifts so that we can have that tool available if needed.
Are these also equipped with night vision, or some of them?
Yeah, actually, all of the Mavics have thermal capabilities, and then our larger drones, the V210 and the 300, have a very impressive thermal capabilities, as well as us being able to mount a spotlight from them if needed.
I have a question. So I was wondering what manufacturers are you using for the drones?
Right now, our primary fleet that we have deployed is DJI.
Okay, and I guess have you taken? Well, there was a guy I talked to. He worked with drones, and that was a concern that he said that majority of police departments in the U.S. are using, I guess, foreign company-owned drones. Is that still a security concern on our part?
Yeah, it's a very serious concern and one that we vetted. For our needs, we actually use some of our software our streaming software is a US company that we use. So if I needed to remotely view a flight, it's not going through DJI's software from what I understand. But the challenge is the capability of the equipment that's out there. This is tried and tested equipment that's safe and serves our purpose here. But we do monitor that in case there's any developments that could compromise security. If I remember correctly, they actually have like a U.S. operation, and it's supposed to be contained here within the U.S. and information is not supposed to go back to China.
Are you able to disclose what streaming company you guys use for that?
Yes, right now we use a DroneSense.
Okay, thanks.
And when you say large, how large are they? The size of a table or the size of a laptop, or?
I don't remember the weight, but I would probably say they're probably about 2.5, 3 feet in length, maybe by about another 2.5, 3 feet in length. The 2 large ones, and the other ones are pretty small. They're easily transported, and the Mavic Minis are ones that you can hold in your hand.
Very portable then.
Yes.
Oh, I guess another question. There was actually one instance where I saw a drone hovering up near Milpitas police station. I've had neighbors who have mentioned how they've seen drones hovering around Milpitas. I'm not sure if it's like a Milpitas police one or not, but whenever you guys utilize that, is there any way to, I guess, notify the public? Because I remember I was on next door and someone mentioned how there was a drone flying around and they were wondering if it was the police or not, and they were just concerned about their privacy as well. So is there any way for the public to know, at least afterwards or after an operation, that you guys have deployed the drone and roughly where you have deployed it?
Yeah, that's a very valid concern and one that we take very seriously because we don't want to jeopardize, right, the public trust. For us, we have very strict standards and guidelines in place. We do not do any type of arbitrary or random flights in neighborhoods. If a police drone is up in a neighborhood, it's in relation to an incident. Say there's a missing person or there's a crime that's occurred where we believe that it's a safety tool to help protect citizens and officers alike. What we actually do is whenever we launch a flight is we notify the FAA It's called the notice to airmen. It's basically, hey, we're going to be up. This is the area that we're going to be within, and that's available publicly through flight tracking websites. So that's something I can look into as far as logistically how we could do something like that. But what I can let you know is that we audit that, monitor it, and the flights that you might see near the police department could be a training related flight, or it could be equipment check. And it's just for us, it's convenient because we're located, our drones are there, we're located there, and we can fly there. And actually the police department where it is in uncontrolled airspace. But we will periodically do training flights from that location.
Are there any plans for the drones that maybe have any identifying markers, colors, stuff like that, so we can distinguish whether or not it's someone's personal drone or if it's a police drone?
That may be a challenge. Ours are using, at night, you could probably see the flashing strobe lights. But when you're getting close to 400 feet in altitude, it would be hard to, because they're not that large where you can see them. Even at 100 feet or so, us putting police markings on it would be a challenge because it's just, they're small at that altitude.
Good. Any more questions for Officer Morales? Thank you, Officer Morales. That was informative.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
really enjoyed that.
Yes. And if you can have a demo sometime, that would be great also.
Yes, Chair, staff will schedule that and get back to you. Chair, we have a public member waiting to speak.
Okay, we can give him 2 minutes. You can start the clock when he starts his speaking, Daniel. That would be good.
Okay.
Thank you very much to the respective commissioner, vice chair, and chairperson with regards to the opportunity to speak as a public speaker to the city of Milpitas and as a city of Milpitas resident and ex-commissioner, previous commissioner to the Science, Innovation, Technology Commission. I wanted to emphasize on the utilization of a drone technology. It's a very specific purpose technology within the commercialization, in the field of commercialization in terms of industrialized use, as well as in terms of a technology, and in terms of defense, and in terms of a different applicability of the drones application within the law enforcement, and as well as within the cyber warfare. Now, to mention here that within every specific domain, there is a stipulation, and then there are FFA guidelines associated with that, at how the aeronauts, the drone aeronauts, which are called the certified pilots to operate the drones, are required to adhere certain precautions before operating. Those certified aeronauts also required to obtain a permit from the city, county, and state and the respective federal agencies in order to operate the application of a drones within the specific domain. There are also no drone flying zones within the city as well. In order to ensure that the drones are only being employed within the safest areas with the permission, there are also cities which is providing the no drone flying zone signs within the cities as well. For example, within the city of Beverly Hills and certain cities, where there are highly residential areas not allowing drones to fly. Also to make sure that drones flyings are applicable to a specific zone as well within the agriculture field as well. So city needs to identify that where the drones applicability with the commission is required, and as well as identify the zones where the drones are to be flied. Thank you for considering.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatta. Okay. So I guess in the interest of time, can we have a motion to receive and file the work plans?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please? Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, Chair, I'll do a roll call. Item number 9, Ratan Chaudhary,
Aye.
Guy Haas. Commissioner Haas. I think his mic is off, but I can hear him. Commissioner Haas, I think you're muted.
Aye.
Alvaro Corn.
Aye.
Bao.
Aye.
Kevin Lee.
Aye.
Abhijit Pandey.
Aye.
Polak Mehta.
Aye.
We have 7 ayes, Chair.
Thank you, Daniel. So with that, we'll move to item number 10, which is discussion of future items. So I guess, Daniel, I guess I had one item. I sent you a presentation on James Webb Telescope that I'll present in the next meeting.
Yes, we have the presentation we'll add to the next agenda.
Yes, thank you. Any other items to be added or talked about by any commissioners? Please go ahead.
So I'll do a presentation on IoT cybersecurity. So in, I think, May should be okay.
Okay. Okay, any other items?
I have one, but
Right.
it's not ready for next month or maybe even the month after. But this one would be data transmission over fiber optic networks.
Yeah, that would be great. But I think we can add it to probably June meeting, Commissioner Alcor. Well, that would be good. Thank you. Okay, if no other comments here, then we'll go to item number 11, which is the liaison reports from city staff. Mayor Tran, thank you for attending the meeting. I guess Mayor Tran's mic is muted.
And
Okay, wait.
Chair, staff can provide a report.
Okay, yeah, let's go to
So-
that.
So as you know, as we discussed in the beginning of the meeting, starting in April, the commission will meet at City Hall. It will be a City Hall committee meeting room. So staff will send out more details before the meeting.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you, Daniel. Do we have any other report from the city side?
No, we do not, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So I don't see Mayor Tran coming back. So with that, I guess we'll move to item number 12, which is adjournment. So thank you all commissioners for attending the meeting and making this meeting successful. And thanks, Daniel. And thanks, Assistant Commissioner Kantak. With that, I would like to adjourn the meeting. And I'll see you all the next month. But please work on your work plans to provide some more information next time around. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
And thank you, Officer Morales as well. Thank you. Bye.
Yes.